It is really exciting to be back in person with all of you, amazing and inspiring people. This is way by far the best conference I go to every year, instead of the nerdy academic conferences. Lots of boring PowerPoints and data and all that kind of thing. Instead, poetry, singing, and just the stories that you all have shared and your passion is just, it's pretty overwhelming. And one of my table mates made my day by telling me that she's been roasting her vegetables ever since I pitched that a few years ago. Now I'm on a mission to get everybody to try raw turnips. Sounds weird. My mother used to feed me raw turnips, and they're much better than cooked turnips in a lot of ways. So give it a try, especially those small pearl turnips that you can get from farmers markets now. Really good. All right, back to business. So part of my pitch is to talk about the role of UNC and other universities in moving us forward to the future. How many Tar Heel fans do we have here?
Tar!
Okay, great. One of the great things is to be able to share some of the things that the university does in kind of furthering the effort of addressing better health and nutrition for our kids. So at the center, we're so happy to host the Carolina Hunger Initiative, No Kid Hungry. We have a lot of acronyms. We have FORK, which addresses food and opportunities. We have NAPSAC, Nutrition and Physical Activity Self-Assessment for Childcare. So my job is to introduce the next few events. And one is that you're going to hear from our chancellor, a recording. We're very happy that he shares the passion and the interest and the importance of research that benefits children. And then you'll see a video about the UNC Nutrition Research Institute, which is in Kannapolis. Anybody from around Kannapolis area? Kind of Charlotte area? Great. Really interesting science that goes on there, kind of basic science, but they're moving more into community-based work, so it'll be interesting to watch that. And then finally, we'll hear from a professor in UNC's School of Nursing whose military background helps inform her work and vision on child hunger and health. So I hope these ideas will inspire you, and again, thank you for all the amazing work that all of you do for child health and nutrition.
I'm really excited to be here with you all today. I'm not here in my role as a professor at the School of Nursing. I'm here in my role as a member of Mission Readiness, which is a national organization of retired general officers and admirals who are concerned about the future of our children and their nutritional health. Can I have the next slide, please? Again, this is, I'm here representing Nutrition Mission Readiness, and I know I'm between you and lunch, so I will be quick. That's always a bad place to be. Next slide, please. So here's who we are. We are part of the Council for a Strong America. We've been around since 1996. Mission Readiness is one of these organizations, part of the Council for a Strong America. Another part is Fight Crime and Invest in Kids, which actually is an organization of police officers and other individuals in that field who are all focused about our children and making sure they stay out of trouble. And then Ready Nation, which is an organization of business people that want to make sure that our children have opportunities as they grow. And we are all working in support of everything you're talking about here today to make sure that our children have the opportunities as they grow to be contributing citizens to the United States. Next slide. You may not know this, but in the numbers, back in World War II, 40% of American men were not eligible to serve in the military. In North Carolina, that number was even higher, 50%, partially due to poor education, poor nutrition, and their poor health overall. We all know that food is essential to having good health, and they were malnourished because of the Great Depression. So in response, Congress, concerned that they did not have enough men, only at that time, to serve in our armed forces, they created the National School Lunch Program, which I know you all are very well informed about. But that came about because we did not have enough men, or we were concerned about not having enough to serve in our military. Next slide. You'd think we would be better by now than we are, but actually we're not. In fact, today, nearly 77% of our youth do not meet the minimal eligibility requirements to serve in our military. That is really, really sad. So only 3 out of 10 who might be interested in serving are eligible to serve. And of those 3, the propensity or the interest in serving is waning. In fact, somebody talked about 2% of individuals being in the farm industry. Only 1% of Americans have the propensity to serve in our military today. And we know that we're facing issues in Europe, we're facing issues at home, we're facing issues from China, and we really need to ensure that we have the person power, male and female, to meet the requirements to serve when our nation needs them. In North Carolina right now, only 28% of our youth meet the eligibility requirements, which means that 72% do not. And a lot of that has to do with obesity. Next slide, please. These data come from 2013, although I did get an email late last night that has a different percentage point. However, obesity remains the #1 reason that our youth are not eligible to serve in the military. And one of my jobs in the Army, believe it or not, for 4 years was to be the weight control officer, and I got to weigh and tape everybody who did not meet height and weight standards. And so I know it's a very real thing that even once you're in the military, we have an obesity problem once we actually access people into the military. The second reason now, these data are outdated, is that they are not academically prepared, meaning they're not finishing high school, they're not meeting minimal eligibility requirements, they can't read, they can't do basic math, they can't do well on the ASVAB. And the third reason children now or young adults cannot serve has to do with the record of crime and or drug abuse. So again, the initiative of investing in our kids and preventing crime is really, really critical. So why do we as retired general officers and admirals really care? Next slide. Well, obviously national security. We served in the military. I served for 35 years. My son served. My daughter-in-law served. In many cases, it's a family business, which is too bad, because that means the rest of America doesn't understand what it takes to serve. Do we have any veterans in the room here today, by the way? Anybody who served? Thank you. Anybody who's got a child or family member serving? Cool. Thank you. Thank you. The hardest job is to send your child or someone else's child off to war. And I've sent my child off, and I've sent other people's children off to war. So thank you for the mothers and fathers in here who have a child serving. We also know, and I'm as a nurse know well, that, and we've heard it here today, kids can't learn if they're hungry. We have to be sure that they have solid nutrition so they can sit in class and learn. We also know that not eating properly increases our healthcare risks. It increases obesity, it increases a risk of diabetes, it increases risk of cardiovascular disease, and all of that increases the lifetime cost of healthcare. That we need to reverse. Healthcare is becoming astronomically expensive. So making sure that children have proper nutrition early in life and eat properly, low on carbs, low on sugar, is really important, and that they get adequate exercise. And we also know that if someone is not feeling well, if they're hungry, if they're not able to participate in the nation's economy, then they're not living their best life. They're not living the 5-star life. We want to be sure that every child has the ability to live a 5-star life and be able to live the life that they want and to contribute to their own family's economy, but the economy of North Carolina and the country as a whole. Next slide, please. So our ask is, and we are a part of the School Meals for All Coalition here in North Carolina. We have been involved for years. And I want you all to know that as retired flag officers, meaning we got a flag with stars on it when we got promoted, as retired flag officers, we stand beside you and we are ready. And I was actually on down in Jones Street this summer advocating on behalf of our children when we had some money left over in the budget. Don't know if we got any of those funds, but again, we are there on Jones Street along with you advocating for our children. And then at the federal level, we are clearly hoping that the COVID-era SNAP emergency funds that ends next week, we know that's coming, and we're advocating on DC to make sure that that does not happen. We also are well aware of the Healthy North Carolina 2030 report that talks about the improve our healthy eating, increase exercise, and increase the numbers of children reading at grade level by 3rd grade. Those are really critical markers for our children. And we stand alongside of you and are willing to support what you all are doing to ensure that our children can live a 5-star life here in North Carolina. And if they should choose to serve in the military, meet the standards to serve. Because we do need people to step up and serve in our military to protect our Constitution, to protect our democracy. So next slide. If you want more information, there's the website. And Ronald Jarrett is the state lead for North Carolina. He has access to all of us here in North Carolina who are part of Mission Readiness. And again, thank you so much for your care and concern for our children. And I look forward to talking with some of you. And thank you and have a good lunch.